is up, YouTube? Brian here with Team Board Wipe. Recently entered a Meadowlands format library tournament, early 2013, or no, it's kind of mid 2013. It's right before the Dragon Rulers got released. I think this YCS was in May, and then the Dragon Rulers came out and they took over everything. But this is essentially mermail format, a lot of mermails, some constellars, I think. Insectors, I think, made top 4 of this tournament. I think mermails have won like 4 of the last 5 and take out the majority of top cut spots. So if you like mermail mirrors, this is for you. If you don't, then maybe not so much. But I got top 4 rounds, and then cut to top 4. Only 10 players, so it's kind of small. It seems like this format's dying out a little bit on the format library stuff, but this is the first one I was ever able to enter, and it's my first time really piloting mermails with any amount of seriousness. And I did some good things and some bad things, so let's take a look. Round 1 is actually the round I lost in Swiss against the person who went undefeated in Swiss and then lost in top 4 to Insectors. They were playing some Tengus and Thunder King stuff. He had Thunder King. I heavied and passed because Thunder King, and then when I sphered him on their second turn, they summoned Doom Cal, so didn't get the Lind off, but now I'm just picking apart the back row with Marksman, adding back the Lind so I can out the Thunder King next turn. This Torrential was really good. I thought Tengu was at 2. It's only at 1. It makes whatever I summon off Lind miss timing, even though there's not another target in the deck. But I assumed that they didn't summon the third Tengu because it was in their hand. Turns out it's just because it was at 2 and not 3. So eventually I just attacked right into this Gorz when I thought it was a Tengu. Oops. But I'm pretty far ahead, so even with the Gorz, it's not really going to matter too much. I was able to generate a lot of advantage after I outed the Thunder King. And even with the Gorz, I'm just going to make a Gaios, and what are they going to do, right? Like, neither of these can attack, and then I have Sphere and Marksman in hand, so I can pop the Scapegoat. One at a time, and it just doesn't matter. Just out advantaged. Game 2, I think I probably did a few things wrong. I think I set a Penguin Soldier a little too early. I got max seed, which is unfortunate. But the Penguin Soldier is just kind of sitting there now, not doing anything. So, I don't know. Penguin Soldier is really good on this side to already established boards. The other thing I did, if you saw it, I just I got aggressive with the Marksman, and I didn't need to. I walked right into a Mirror Force. I could have just not summoned the Dragoon and then synced into a 5, because they didn't Mirror Force the Marksman attack, so got a little bit aggressive, and now my Penguin Soldier is just useless, right? Doing a little push with Lin, but I don't know. I got max seed again, which is unfortunate. And then my lead got mind crushed. And after that happened, the Gorz got dropped. I was so far behind, it just spiraled. And yeah, I'm like, what, neg 6? So I'm able to recover a little bit of advantage here, but not enough to matter because I just get Avarice and then Darkhold, Monsterborn, Doomcal, so we don't need to watch the rest of that. We can just go to game 3. Game 3, I liked the way I played for the most part. I'll hide the hand. I did Teus first to pop the back row before I flipped this, and it was a bottomless, so The Lind didn't get bottomless, and so I outed the Thunder King, and that was good. But then the lead gets Dark Hold, and now it's just kind of putting on pressure, right? So I'm a little behind. I'm able to out the first Tengu, and that grabs me Gunned for a follow-up next turn where I can bring back a bigger Mermail monster. And then they summon Banisher, and that hurts quite a bit. So it makes me not able to use my Pike there. I have to crash it into the Banisher. And then I draw Diva, and that's okay for now, but I still don't have any discard outlets. And I draw Dragoon, and here is where I think I misplayed this game. 4 cards in hand, and they pass. I think I should just not attack. I think I set Marksman and pass back. And just there's no reason for me to attack into like a Gores here, because I'm so low that if I set a Marksman with my librarian, I'm most likely not going to get killed, right? And of course, there's a Gores, and I walk right into a Mind Control and a Tuner. So if I set the Marksman there, I'm just in a much better spot, because then Gores is still in hand. I don't attack, and then it's just MST, right? MST off the top for my MST. So then Mind Control and Valor, they can like Mind Control the Librarian, summon Valor, and go into a 6 and attack over the Marksman. But that doesn't do a whole lot. That just outs the Marksman, and it puts me to like low teens, right? Instead of just killing me. So yeah, the Tuner and that just go into arm into the Gores, and then I just die right here, and I lose the match. But I was drawing Sphere next turn, so like if I just give myself another turn, even if it's not Sphere, if it's a Pike or a Turge or a Dragoon or a Megalo or Teus, all 4 of those cards just, I think, get me the game here. So it's super unfortunate that I pushed into Gores solo, but is what it is. Lost round 1. Round 2 is no fun, except for game 3. Game 3 was kind of cool-ish, but I opened really well this game just because of the fact that I can rip 3 cards. Right, because I get Mulan Glacier off Dragoon, lead rips 1, Diva and Marksman into a Synchro as the 5th water monster, so I just rip 2 more, and they don't even bother playing it out. It's not worth it. Game 2, they open Double Maxi, which is good in theory. It didn't end up coming up because they just flooded me out with Vanity's Fiend. Like, I could have debunked the Treeborn Frog, but they still had a monster on board to summon the Vanity's Fiend, so the end result is just the same. And yeah, so I basically play this whole game trying to draw a way to discard infantry that doesn't involve special summoning, and I do not draw one, so I lose the game. We don't need to watch that. Game 3 is kind of fun. I open Penguin Soldier and Snowman Eater, so I have outs to the floods, so I'm never really on a clock, right? So I can afford to play this game a little bit more slowly, a little bit less aggressively. I know my deck is supposed to be like aggro, but walking into things like Dragon Gores for no reason seems bad. So we go back and forth a little bit. I'm a little patient with my Lind. A little bit too patient, as it turns out, because they summon Vanity's Emptiness and attack over it, but that's okay. I set the Snowman Eater to out the Vanity, so first Floodgate is gone. And then now I can just afford to play, because now I'm not worried about Gores or anything, because I have Dark Hole. The gun brings back the Lind, so I can still generate advantage. And then I do get Gorzed, and I grab the Turge to bring back the Lind in case I need it again later. And then I can make a Dweller since I have the Reborn. So now the Treeborn and Ronin Totem are turned off. So it forces them to commit more resources to summoning another Tribute Summon Floodgate, which they did. They did special summon the swap and use it to attack over the Dweller with End of Anubis. End of Anubis is unfortunate, but they can't activate effects in the graveyard either. So they can't really do a whole lot of pushing as long as I have things to set, because they can't extend with like Ronin Tonin and Treeborn to summon another Vanities or another Anubis or whatever. So they normal summon swap, and that is good. I set a Lind and not the Penguin Soldier because I want to see what they do if on a one-on-one. Like if they normal summon, attack, and then they bounce the swap again, next turn I can set the Penguin Soldier. So if they normal summon, that means main phase 2, after my Penguin Soldier bounces the Anubis, they can't normal summon another Flood monster. So I wanted to see what they did on the first turn with a set monster before I set the Penguin Soldier. And they normal summoned, sent, and then they creature swapped, which I thought was kind of an awkward play. I just figured with End of Anubis, you don't care what this is, unless it's another Snowman Eater. So I guess creature swap plays around Snowman Eater or a Penguin Soldier. But it was just a Lind, so unlucky for them. So my play actually worked out really well, because if I had set that Penguin Soldier, it would have been creature swapped and I would have been cooked. But good news is, I set the bluff first, it got creature swapped, and then I set the Penguin Soldier, and then they summon Vanity's Fiend, and they walk right into the Penguin Soldier, bounces both back. They're at 49. They say, you gotta be kidding. And then I pitch Gunned Infantry with Megalo. Gun brings back lead. I search for Sphere, and then I summon a monster so Megalo can attack twice so I don't lose to a Trag. Lo and behold, they summon Trag, but I still win. So sometimes you do good things when you play Yu-Gi-Oh! And then sometimes you do bad things when you play Yu-Gi-Oh! So I was really happy with the way I played that third game in that match. I was not very happy with the way I played this game specifically. I think I should have Marksman popped the set first, and just kind of dealt with the back row as it came, just to see if that's a Lind or if it's something else. And if it's a Lind, get it out early so they don't get their pick of infantry targets if they have it in hand. Unfortunately, I committed too much before I popped the set monster, and the set monster was indeed a Lind. And it also means I didn't get to utilize my infantry efficiently. So I missequenced this turn, and I got punished for it. And I couldn't make a rank 7, and then they had Salvage plus Gun and Megalo. And they have MST for my Sphere, so this game just kind of spirals out of control pretty quickly, and I don't win. So game 2, I open Lynn's set. They grab Diva and Gun, and they kind of slow roll this a little bit. They attack into the Lind. I summon Turge. I get the Lind back by pitching Teus, because I didn't start super awkwardly. They have Dark Hole and Lead. Lead was kind of awkward, so they were waiting one more turn to try and get some advantage out of Dark Hole, and then they were going to try and kill me. But unfortunately for them, I am able to dual line bounce the infantry. I Teus pitch Marksman to pop that, see what it is. I do it much earlier before I've put much of a board presence, and now that that's gone, I just go super aggro and I pitch, and now I have game on board. So they played that game a little too slowly and got OTK'd. And then this one, I mind control to dodge the Lind, get in some damage early, and then overlay. So that takes out the Lind there, which is really cool. Set the sphere, whatever. They dark hole it. They summon Marksman here, so their hand is kind of awkward. They opened a inherently slow hand here. They didn't choose to play it slow this time. It was just inherently slow. And the sphere here is really good. It gets max seed, but that's okay because they don't draw enough. They just draw a Lind. They already normal summoned. They can't use lead. There's not enough targets for Avarice, so they don't have a playable card. They're forced to go to end phase, and they get another draw off of max C for the Pike, but they didn't do anything. If those draws had been reversed, they'd still be in the game because they could have set the sphere still in mid phase 2. But the Pike pitched Dragoons, just gets me the Gund and the Megalo. So now I have Megalo, pitch, Gund, and lead, and they're dead. So we took the Mermail Mirror. It just kind of out-opened them game 3. I got outplayed game 1. I wouldn't say I outplayed them game 2. I think they just kind of made a judgment call to try and maximize the effectiveness of a dark hole, and it backfired when I OTK'd them instead. And then, yeah, game 3, I just outdrew them. And sometimes in the Mermail Mirrors, that's what happens. This is the Inzector match. Game 1, I liked the way I played quite a bit. I think they put all their eggs into a Dark Arm Dragon and didn't know. I don't know if they. I think they watched my replay, so they knew I was playing Mermail. So I feel like that's kind of risky, like playing into Dark Armed when I can just Moulin Glacier, rip all these darks from your hand into your graveyard. Like, I guess I don't know how common it is to just Moulin Glacier turn 1, but I drew a hand that did it. Teus Dragoons. Dragoons got me Marksman, and I got gunned off of Teus because now I can start picking apart the back row. I already had Megalo. The guns didn't get used, but whatever. And here, I accidentally make an illegal play. I didn't really think about how Threatening Roar would stop me from using Megalo's effect. I know you can't use it turn 1 because you can't declare an attack. You can't go to your battle phase, so you can't declare an attack on turn 1. So if Threatening Roar says you can't declare an attack this turn, then Megalo can't gain the ability to attack a second time. So I can't do that. But the outcome is the same. I just Big Eye, detach the material to steal the Lavalval Chain and send the Water Monster for the 5th. So it didn't really change anything. I actually made the worst play. I just wasted a monster to do it instead. And I Moulin Glacier up to 2, so now they're drawing a dead Dark Arm because they have 4 darks, and it's game on board next turn because they know I have Sphere. Game 2 was a little bit back and forth. I thought I was going to win for a while. They duality into Threatening Roar, then summon Thunder King. I Dark Hole the Thunder King because I don't have a lot to work with right now, and I need my Teus to resolve. Moulin Glacier is just not going to be fast enough, I don't think, right now. So I grab Gund to have something try to be live off of my Sphere. The MST gets end phase MST'd, so I still have the Sphere. Hornet pops the Sphere. I get the Lind, and there was some confusion here about how triggers work. They didn't really quite understand the way things were supposed to happen, and I kind of walked them through it. Your triggers stack first, and they didn't quite really still declare it right, but I let them have it, and I actually let them change it. And we got there. We figured it out. I hit the Ladybug. I attack over that. I know they get They get Centipede back, and unfortunately, this card is a Call of the Haunted. So this Leviathan play is actually really good. They put almost game on board. I think they left like 1,200 short or something. 800 short. 800 short, yep. So I draw Megalo for turn, which is pretty good. And Avarice, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, I didn't draw anything else that nets advantage when it's discarded. And infantry would have been great because I could have popped the Leviathan and then attacked over the Tyrus. But the problem was I had trouble playing around the Centipede. So I grab Diva off of Dragoons and Sphere off of something else. Megalo, and then I make Armor Arm, attack over the Tyrus, but in the end, it's not going to super matter. They're just going to grab Ladybug. Ladybug's going to do its thing eventually. So it attacks over the Lind. The Lind just summons a body that's going to get beat over by that. And then, yeah, so I draw Dragoons here. So what I could have done maybe is just like summon the Lind, attack into the Centipede. But I might have been out of Pikes and Turges. I don't remember. And then there's still the Leviathan that's just going to beat over me next turn. So, because there's nothing I can grab off of Dragoon that is good enough because I won't have like a second water for Megalo if I grab it or anything. So, Dragoon was almost a nice draw, but not quite. Alright, so I go first. I set Lind, set MST pass, MST gets MST'd, whatever. Dragonfly does its thing, it increases by 1, so now they're doing all that. A Dweller to stop the Lind, and that kind of hurts, but is what it is. I have the Diva, which is nice, so that just outs the Dweller without having to really waste too many resources. They took 500, they weren't supposed to, I didn't notice at the time. It didn't end up mattering. They do some things. They did the Centipede. Attack over that. And then they boosted it to 5 to grab the Hornet for next turn. And I don't play this next part quite optimally. So what I'm supposed to do here is just pitch Marksman, Megalo, and Gun for lead and just sacrifice the Sphere. Because this is going to get back the Dragonfly, and with the Hornet that I know they searched, I'm going to be in trouble next turn, right? So I was supposed to do that. Marksman pop the set, Gun summon back the Megalo, and then lead can tribute the Pike to hit a card, and then I can overlay into Gaios. And that leaves me this Lind in hand too, in case I need it. I can summon it, or I can... Oh no, I can't summon it because I summoned this turn. So I can hold on to the Lind for just kind of more floats next turn if they out the Gaios. But instead, I put value on the Sphere, and I use Megalo. And I don't know if that was the right play, because then because I have to crash the Megalo. I can't like attack over the Centipede anymore. So now I'm just like in a much worse position. And then we run into trouble with trigger effects again. They activate Dragonfly, Hornet. They use Hornet to pop the Sphere, and I chain the Sphere. And I already felt like I held their hand through it the last time. So this time I just gave it a beat, and I declared Lind. I didn't feel like teaching my opponent how trigger effects worked again. I don't know. Like, there's got to be a line somewhere, right, where we're holding our opponent's hands through how their cards work. It's a free tournament. When I'm playing old formats for fun with my friends, obviously they're triggering Dragonfly, even if they say they're triggering Dragonfly or not. But I don't know. This isn't a tournament that I'm just hanging out with my friends doing. And I already felt like I was pretty nice to him last game. So I just declared Lind, And if he wanted to declare Dragonfly right now, probably wouldn't have done anything. But they just thumbs up the Lind. I summoned a Turge, I think, or a Pike, pitched gunned, added something, marksman, and then I triggered gunned. They thumbs up, and then I summoned a lead. And then, so we went through like 3 whole chains where Dragonfly was supposed to trigger a while ago. And then they tried to trigger Dragonfly at the resolution of all of that. And I said, that's not how it works. Dragonfly was supposed to trigger with Lind. And then they're like, oh, so I can't do Dragonfly now? And I said, no. And they said, oh, wow. And then they just quit. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like with a little bit more discussion, I don't know, I might have caved at some point and been like, fine, just we'll go back and you can do Dragonfly, whatever. Because I do that sometimes. But they just quit instead. So I kind of felt awkward about it. They didn't seem to mind too much. They didn't like complain about it in the Discord or anything, and they still made top 4. And then they won, and they went on to the finals. They got second place. So in the end, it didn't really affect their tournament experience, and I'm happy about that. But yeah, in the moment, I decided I didn't feel like walking my opponent through their own trigger effects, so I didn't. This is top 4. I was second after Swiss. This is another Mermail mirror match. I really like what I did here. So I set the infantry. It can't be poked over by the Lind, and even if they summon something that does poke it over, I can just add it back with Turge, and that's fine. And then I can like do things because I get to search off this Dragoons, and I'll have an infantry and Dragoons with the Megalo for follow-up, and I'll be in a really good spot. But they attacked before they summoned. The summon was a little bit of a misstep because they didn't have any targets prior to activation. So if you have no water monsters in your grave, you can't summon Turge, pitch infantry to target the infantry, add back the infantry, and then trigger that infantry to pop a face-up monster. So here I don't see this right away, but I just set an MST and I attempt to pass, and they say still in main 1, they activate Sphere, and then I see this line that's really cool. Because I have infantry up, I didn't die. I can summon both of these Dragoons because they get an additional normal summon of a level 4 lower Sea Serpent. Oh, look at that. That's a level 4 Sea Serpent. So I summon both Dragoons, and I make a Dweller, activate the Dweller, trigger the Dragoons, search for a marksman, attack over the Lind that's not summoned by Sphere, and then go to the end phase, and the Lind dies, and they get neither of the Lind effects, and that puts me in a really good spot. They do the cool Delorean play where they have level 4, they summon Diva, bounce the thing they summon off Diva, but I'm still able to just trigger this Dweller and grab a Megalo off the Dragoon. Dweller dies, but that doesn't matter. They're not going to summon Megalo, right? Because they're not going to use 3 cards to grab a Sphere. If they sent the Terrestrial, I have the MST for it. So I'm in just a really good spot. And then I have Diva, and then I just put game on board. And I'm actually able to Avarice back my Dweller. And I would have been able to summon a Dweller a second time this turn because I used my additional normal summon because I still had an infantry face up. After all that's said and done, that infantry just hung in there for so long. So I got game 1, that was really cool. Then game 2, I got max seed when I was going to do some really cool stuff on this turn 1. That was unfortunate. And then I kind of misplayed into a Torrential a little bit. Yeah, the Maxi wasn't like super defining here. This Diva into the Torrential was so sad. Oh, that made me sad. I still think I'm in like an okay kind of spot. Like the Marksman doesn't pop the Sphere, so I can still do stuff. And yeah, I Monster Reborn and make Big Eye and take it. And like they have a gun and they have a mystery card, and if they can resolve Megalo, they win. And then they top Dragoon. I was like, ah, shoot. So that was unfortunate. They Big Eye my Big Eye, and then Big Eye my I think I should have maybe tried to play a little bit differently into 2 back row. I know Torrential is a crazy card in this deck. I should always be thinking about it, and in this game I just wasn't. So that's unfortunate. And I think I'm still in a good spot here, right? Like Gaios, the Catastor can't attack. So next turn I can Gaios and then stop the Catastor and attack over the Catastor, and then I'm in like a great spot. I know they have a sphere here, but unless they draw into another level 7, they can't really do anything too crazy with it. Because like even I guess an infantry also works because I can't Gaios during the damage step. But unfortunately, they drew a 7, and that just meant they can make the Gaios with the sphere and the Teus. And that just clears my whole board because they crash Gaioses, and then Catastor can attack over Pike, and then they have a Lind left over that I just can't really deal with. So I die before anything good can happen because my breakthrough gets MST'd. So game 3, I get to go first. That's going to be so good. They Diva here, and then they attack before they MST. If I had Torrentialed here, that would have been okay. They just sort of saved the MST. They MST the Torrential, and then they go into this, and then they pop the Pike. So no, show my hand. They popped the Pike. I searched Diva off of Dragoon because I was going to do the cool DeLorean thing, and now I wish it was an infantry because they had Teus infantry of their own, and that was sad. So I know they have a Lind, and then I get Max Seed. I'm about to do this cool play where I pitch Gund and Pike for Megalo. The Megalo searches Sphere, Gund summons Pike, Pike pitches Diva, unfortunately. Could have been infantry, which would have been crazy. To grab back the Lind, and then I have 5. And then I summon Moulin Glacier, rip 2 of their 3 cards. Summon Lind, crash the Lind, summon Lead, attack over, tribute something for Lead, and then make a Gaios. So they would have no cards in hand. It was going to be the super sick play, and then I get Max Seed, and it just ruins everything. I don't commit to the play. I think I should have just given them 5 cards and still ripped 3. But I don't know. Yeah, I get Moulin Glacier, and they have 7s and big eye, and then I just am outgunned. Gunned. So I lose in top 4, super unfortunate, but they went on to win the whole thing. So yeah, that's Meadowlands. If you